Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Tuesday. Hey, how you doing, Heidi?
I'm good. Did you forget my name?
No, I forgot what day it was. Had to look at the calendar. It's a Wednesday. Hey, salary.com claims that if they did the same duties in the private sector, full-time stay-at-home moms would make $134,000 a year.
Huh.
So, moms, we appreciate you a whole lot more. After Mother's Day, we should hopefully have already showed you how much we appreciate you, but salary.com says you should make a ton if you go through and figure out all the different things they do. Today, I'm actually excited because I'm going to be giving away a book. I've got an author that we'll be talking to, and then we're going to give you a chance to win his book. DrTravsiLangley has a new book called Captain America versus Iron Man. And for those of you that maybe went out and watched the movie over the weekend, there's a movie, and this book kind of dissects the movie, I think. It's got like the psychology behind the movie. Anyway, we're going to be chatting with him, Dr. Travis Langley, coming up later in the program. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday, not a Tuesday, a Wednesday.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It is Wednesday, May the 11th. It's Donate Wages to Charity Day. It is Eat What You Want Day. I think I do that every day, though. That's probably my problem. It is Hostess Cupcake Day. Ooh, I know what I'm going to eat. It's National Foam Rolling Day. I don't know what that means exactly. National Night Shift Workers Day. National Third Shift Workers Day as well. It is Receptionist Day. National Root Canal Day. And School Nurse Day. So we get a lot of different days that we get to celebrate today.
There you go.
Of all of those, the one that I think I'm going to celebrate
Hostess
is...
Cupcake.
Oh, yeah, right there. And Eat What You Want Day. But I want to eat a Hostess Cupcake because it's their day. All right, thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on this Wednesday, the 11th day of May.
Do you like fun t-shirts? Our friends at 80s Tees have a bunch of fun designs from the movies and pop culture. This month, we're giving you a chance to win a $25 credit to buy the t-shirt you like with designs from Star Wars, Superman, Ghostbusters, Deadpool, and hundreds of others. Sign up to win a $25 credit. Register for free right now at winthisonline.com. We will select 2 winners at the end of this month. You could be one of them, but only if you register at winthisonline.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. A 16-year-old boy in New Zealand recently went to see a man about a car. Seeing as how you don't buy a car without taking a test drive, the kid took it for a little spin. He apparently needed 300 miles to decide
Oh my gosh.
that he didn't want to buy the car before
that's
returning
not a
its
good
owner.
idea.
Here's the strange part. Police say the kid will not be charged since the owner did not stipulate any conditions for the test drive. So the kid, 16-year-old kid in New Zealand, went and looked at a car, took off, drove over 300 miles with the car, and then came back and said, I
don't like it.
I'm just not interested. It's not quite what I need. So I wonder what that was all about. Think the kid just wanted to go for a joyride?
He probably wanted to go and visit somebody and didn't have a vehicle, so hey, I'll just test drive a car.
I remember reading a story about somebody who needed to move something, and they went and test drove a truck, and they moved stuff with it, and then they took it back. I was like, well, it's kind of, yeah, I guess. Doesn't seem like a nice thing to do. Nowadays, a lot of car dealerships don't let you just take a car.
No, you have to take a salesperson with
Yeah,
you.
usually so there's somebody to help carry the sofa.
There you go.
I'm kind of interested in this one, but let's see if my sofa would fit in. Why are we driving? Well, I'm moving it over here. I don't know exactly how that would go. Anyway, a 16-year-old boy in New Zealand took a car on a test drive, drove 300 miles, and then brought it back and said, I don't want it. And it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. A man is arrested for taking the bus. Henry Johnson really should have walked to his destination. Instead, he decided to take Buffalo Rapid Transit, which would have been fine, except he demanded a free ride.
Oh.
The driver disagreed. called the transit police, who arrived and charged Henry with theft of services. Now, to make matters worse, he gave the police a fake name, so he's charged with false impersonation. They weren't done yet. Once cops found out who he was, they discovered he was wanted on arson and criminal mischief charges. Oh, and I didn't even mention the best part. When they were digging through his stuff, they found a stolen supermarket card, a gas card, a library card, which he probably has never used because it doesn't sound like the kind of guy that would be reading a lot, and one other thing, 5 bags of crack cocaine.
Oh, nice.
At the end of the day, he did get a free ride. It just wasn't where he wanted to go. He got a ride to jail instead. And kids, that's what happens when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
In the Netherlands, the Brutjens family thought it would be cute to get one of those doorbells that barks like a dog when somebody presses the button.
Yeah.
In fact, their doorbell plays 15 different barking noises, and it's apparently pretty convincing. After pressing the doorbell and hearing the bark, a city inspector slipped $97 tax bill. They have a Dutch dog tax bill into their mail slot.
Oh, my gosh.
The second year in a row that the family had a run-in with authorities over their doorbell, and they reportedly had a difficult time convincing the city they had no dog last year. So their moment of duh would be not getting rid of the doggy doorbell before it happened to them the second time. So this happened 2 years in a row.
Well, you would think once they straightened it out the first time that it would be clear.
I doubt that these city inspectors have a list of places that do and don't have dogs that, you know, or who do and don't have dog doorbells or whatever. I didn't even know there was such a thing. That would be we have the same thing. Ours are just 2 real dogs.
That bark every time the doorbell
You don't
rings.
even need to ring the doorbell. Just walk by the house. You don't even need to walk by the house. You can be on the other side of the street, minding your own business. If they see you, they will definitely say hello. All right. Coming up, we've got your scoop of the day. That is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. According to a survey, classmates who have made it big are much more likely to attend college reunions than those who have not.
Yeah,
Did
I'm
we
sure.
get to spend money on this study?
Duh. They just want to rub their classmates' noses in it.
So how you doing? I'm destitute. I live behind a dumpster. Really, how about you? Oh, I founded my own Fortune 500 company. You know, of course, if you made it big, you got to go back.
Absolutely.
Researchers from the University of Virginia report that old age begins in our late 20s. Oh, no. After testing a group of men and women over a 7-year period, scientists have determined that our mental abilities start to decline at age 27, and they peak at age 22. So 22 is when they peak, and then just 5 short years later, they start to decline. That explains a lot. I am definitely over the hill then. A Canadian dealership is in some hot water for posting a series of signs that made fun of women drivers. This is just not a good idea.
Yeah, that's
One
not a
sign
good idea.
At Mellish Motors on Prince Edward Island reads, "Women are like snowflakes. They can't drive." What? What? How is that going to help you sell cars?
You know, I don't know. Maybe things are different there, but in this country, the majority of the decision makers are the females, and that is not going to
Mellish Motors, good luck to you on that. Hey, swine flu may have scared us straight, or maybe we finally started listening to our mothers. Whatever the reason, Americans are washing their paws a little more than they used to. Suggested by the latest research on people who literally do the survey by standing in the restroom to see how many people wash their hands. That is their job. So what are you doing? I'm working. But you're hanging out in the restroom. Yeah,
but don't you think that if somebody was standing there watching, more people would wash their hands?
I think that they hide out in a stall, honestly, because it says here they spy on people using public restrooms.
Huh.
So it's not like they're just standing there with a clipboard. It says washed or didn't wash. Can I get your name? Hey, apparently a study from the Congressional Budget Office says that reducing the number of Americans who have body mass index rates considered obese would cut per capita healthcare spending by 4% over the next 10 years. It says lower rates of obesity are associated with better health and lower healthcare spending per capita. There's a considerable interest in developing policies that would reduce the fraction of the population that is obese. And they say they just released a report entitled, "How Does Obesity in Adults Affect Spending on Healthcare?" That is the report. If you can't get to sleep tonight, you might want to read that. I'm sure it's very boring.
Yeah, it's a page turner.
Hey, the idea of male menopause has been a joke for a long time, but experts say, hey, there's something to this. They believe men in their 50s may also experience a, quote, change, end quote, similar to women. They go through a menopause. Ladies do. Men do the same kind of thing, losing testosterone as opposed to estrogen. Symptoms are similar, including night sweats, hot flashes, and loss of bone strength. The reason that they're just finally figuring this out is because men, when we get sick, when there's issues, we're like, I don't know, it's probably just normal. I've got all kinds of problems. I'm sure that's just normal. So, new survey reveals 90% of women do wedding planning at work, Heidi.
Yeah,
90%.
I'm sure.
So, if you're planning on getting married and you're going to do your wedding planning, I guess at work is the place that most people do that.
I'm sure they do. It's just instead of going on Facebook, they're planning their wedding. I mean, people are wasting time every day at work. Doesn't matter what it is on necessarily. It's just doing something different.
It's probably a little more productive than some. Hey, did you ever have a mood ring?
Yes.
They had mood rings. You know, I never had one of those. I remember people had them. And now there's a mood map. A multinational team of researchers has sought to map the American mood by compiling a state-by-state ranking of personalities and temperament. According to the map, the central part of the country is more friendly and conventional, while the western states are a little more relaxed and creative, and the northeastern states are very temperamental. So it's a mood map. And I've got a link to that if you want to see how we rank in our area. And then if you know people in other parts of the country, think about them and then look at their part of the country and see how accurate this is. It's at our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Oh, hey, I almost forgot our strange law. It's required by Kentucky law that you must bathe either in a bath or a shower no less than once a year. Ooh, that's a strange law. This has been your Scoop of the Day.
Do you like fun t-shirts? Our friends at 80s Tees have a bunch of fun designs from the movies and pop culture. This month, we are giving you a chance to win a $25 credit to buy the t-shirt you like, with designs from Star Wars, Superman, Ghostbusters, Deadpool, and hundreds of others. Sign up to win a $25 credit. Register for free right now at winthisonline.com. We will select 2 winners at the end of this month. You could be one of them, but only if you register at winthisonline.com.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. We've got a special guest on the phone with us right now. First of all, for those of you who went to the theater over the weekend, you probably saw, even if you didn't go to the movie, you probably saw the lines of people that were going to the movie. It was a big opening weekend for Captain America and Iron Man with the Civil War movie they have out. And we've got a book called Captain America versus Iron Man, Freedom, Security, Psychology. The foreword is by Stan Lee, and we have the actual author of the book right now, DrTravsiLangley, and he's joining us on the phone right now. Dr. Langley, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time to chat with us. I know we spoke with you when the Walking Dead Psychology book came out. We talked about that a while back, and maybe even some others too, but we've got this new book, the Captain America versus Iron Man, Freedom, Security, Psychology. And pretty good timing on releasing this. The movie's in theaters right now, and it's doing pretty darn well.
I've been wanting to talk about Captain America and Iron Man in a book for a long time. So I'm grateful for the movie and its success, but I'm grateful for the movie coming out so a publisher finally lets me do this topic.
And the really neat thing is, first of all, the foreword by Stan Lee. That's pretty cool that you had that happen, isn't it?
That is an honor. Usually with the books that I do, the forward author's name is smaller and under mine, but on this one it's larger and above mine because I told them just put it as big as you can on that cover because my name's not going to draw people's attention the way Stan, and I just get to say forever, I worked with Stan Lee.
That is pretty darn cool. Again, visiting right now with Dr. Travis Langley, and we've got a book out called Captain America versus Iron Man, Freedom, Security, Psychology. Let's give people a little, like a nutshell, in a nutshell, what this book is about.
Well, we talk about the psychology of the characters, and some of it having to do with just that basic issue, that freedom versus security conflict that's going on in the Civil War film. But we look at the characters throughout their history. What does it take to become a heroic person? And how does trauma shape a person? How does trauma shape heroes and other reasons that people become heroes? You can look at something like post-traumatic stress disorder, and look at it with a fictional character like Tony Stark, and which aspects of it did he show, and which did he not show, to show that, PTSD isn't quite what you thought it was, in that in his origin, he goes through a traumatic experience, but he grows as a person afterwards. He finds a mission, he finds a purpose, something we call post-traumatic growth. And so we go through moral reasoning, and what does it take to grow up to decide to do the right thing, or to decide it's the moral thing to do, the logical thing to do. So we have a lot of different things going on with these characters, even aside from this conflict between them about freedom versus security. Should heroes have the freedom? Should they have the liberty to do the superheroic thing, or should they be regulated by the government, which is what they're fighting about in the film and the Civil War storyline? And we look at that from a psychological perspective. There was a psychologist, Eric Fromm, who he decided that this conflict between freedom and security is the most basic human dilemma. From when we are toddlers and we want freedom but we want to feel safe, Fromm developed his ideas about it when he was trying to make sense out of why the people, in Nazi Germany had given up so many freedoms, after the Great Depression, so they could feel more secure. And you see this again and again, and in the 21st century, as there's this growing distrust of the establishment in this post-9/11 world, we see that we've given up a lot of freedoms, and people get to debating, well, did it make sense? Is it worth giving up that freedom to feel safe? How safe do you need to feel? And there's not always a right answer. There's not always a simple answer anyway. And we see Captain America and Iron Man, people who are both trying to do the moral thing. They're trying to do the right thing, and we understand that.
Again, visiting right now with Dr. Travis Langley, author of a new book called Captain America versus Iron Man, Freedom, Security, Psychology. And in the book, you talk about what it takes to become a superhero and what role gender plays in your ability to resolve conflicts. I think that's really kind of an interesting concept as well.
Well, because Captain America and Iron Man, you think about those names themselves. Captain America, Iron Man. There's something very masculine sounding about both of those names, and there's something symbolic about them. And you could even look at this conflict between them as a bit of a posturing contest between them. And in the films, there could easily be better representation of heroines among the characters, but as they divide into their two teams, there's one woman on each side. There's Black Widow, there's Scarlet Witch, so each team gets a redhead, and the rest of it is a bunch of guys fighting it out. And so there seems to be this hyper-masculinity in a lot of the stories, but there doesn't have to be. There have been plenty of writers who've done a very successful job. Chris Claremont in his X-Men comics, was known, for not being so hyper-masculine in the way the story's told. And it's even debated by fans and writers themselves of the comics on how there is often this masculine bias in the storytelling.
And some of the contributors, as I'm looking at the list here, are pretty darn impressive. We already talked about Stan Lee, but I'm also looking on here and I see the name Jenna Bush. And that's one that you might not first expect to see on the list, but that it's on the list. Now, how in the world did you make that connection?
I met Jenna through Comic-Con. We've known each other for several years now. She's just a friend of mine. And Jenna had worked for Stan. Jenna is not a psychologist, so she's not the sole author of any of the chapters or anything that she does, but she co-authors. She'll co-author chapters with Dr. Janina Scarlett in a number of our books. She was my editorial assistant on this book and several of the other books. In fact, she's how we got Stan to do the introduction for this book. I had spoken with Stan. I had spoken with him before about this kind of thing. But for this particular one, we asked Jenna to approach Stan, and Stan likes Jenna, so he did us a forward.
Again, visiting right now with Dr. Travis Langley. The book is called Captain America versus Iron Man, Freedom, Security, and Psychology. Where can I find a copy of this book?
Barnes & Noble, Amazon, all over the place.
And it's a good-looking book, too. I like the cover. It just jumps off the page, and it absolutely positively draws you in.
That cover makes me so happy.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, not just because the name Stan Lee is on it, but that cover it's a very, very pretty cover.
It very, very much so. Well, I know you've got a lot of people that want to talk to you because this book is hot. The movie that's out right now is hot, and I think you're going to have a really good week. I got a feeling that's going to be a big week for you here.
I'm having a great time.
Well, again, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us. And if you've got another project in the works, make sure to keep us in mind for that one as well.
All right.
And again, our guest today has been Dr. Travis Langley. He is the author of Captain America versus Iron Man. It's available now at local bookstores and at Amazon. And we're also giving away a copy on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Thank you so much for listening on a Wednesday.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
A garland of yellow, black-eyed Susan wildflowers is draped around the thoroughbred that wins the Preakness Stakes. That's what they win. Not roses, but black-eyed
Never heard
Susans.
of those flowers.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
In 1912, Alaska officially became a U.S. territory, but it did not become a state until 1959. So it was a territory first. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Only 3 female artists performed solo at Woodstock. Do you know who they were?
Janis Joplin.
And
I don't know.
Joan Baez and Melanie. Those were the 3.
I would not have guessed those in a million years.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Enola Gay was the name of the B-29 that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima or Hiroshima, depending on how you want to say that. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Martin Luther King Jr. was once arrested and jailed for asking for service in a white-only restaurant in St. Augustine, Florida. So there you go. That's a fun fact for you. A lot of fun facts for you right here on a Wednesday edition of the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by RadioReallyWorks.com. I know you're listening to a podcast, but did you know the John and Heidi Show is also a radio show? And for those of you who have businesses, you should consider using radio to advertise your business. We can even help you create some catchy little jingles or amazing radio ads that will help pull people in. Get all the details or just learn more at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on this Wednesday, the 11th day of May. How to date on the cheap. It's important to know how to date inexpensively, especially with rising prices on everything. Dating during an economic downturn can still be romantic, though. Here are some ideas, Heidi. Number 1, cook dinner together. This is a neat idea. This requires, 1, a presentable apartment or home and a well-stocked kitchen, and B, enough trust that your date won't... What is that? And enough trust on your date's part to come up to your place. Oh, and C, the ability to cook probably wouldn't hurt either. So if you want to have a dinner, a little date, and say, hey, how about we cook a little something at my place? Just one way to do it. We do that all the time. We don't call those dates. We just call that eating.
Eating supper at home.
Now I'm going to just say, hey, what a wonderful date. Another way to have a nice, inexpensive date, take a walk in the park. Almost every woman's online profile says she likes long, romantic walks. Why in the world would you not at least offer to do that? Because, hey, if that's what they like, then do it. Another one is go on a bike ride. This one's tricky because you need to own a bike. But if you don't own a bike, I think there are places that you can rent them or you could probably borrow some. So there you go. If you want to do a bike ride, that could be kind of nice. Another more inexpensive date, instead of going to the movies, rent a movie. And there's a lot of different people out there that say this is a great idea. And it's the opportunity for the two of you to find something that you would actually enjoy watching rather than just what happens to be playing at the theater this week. Way, way, way more options. Another, flash a coupon. If you're going out, go out somewhere where you can use a coupon.
And not on a first date, though.
I got a coupon here. I'll have this. She'll have this. That's what I got a coupon for. Just have coffee and dessert, too. That's not a bad thing. You know, to get together and just, have coffee and dessert instead of an actual dinner. And then the last thing is read a book together. Go to a bookstore, pick out a book. And one idea is 5 love languages for dating couples. And then there's a quiz at the end of that book. But you could read any book, I suppose, and then you could chat about it. So you'd have like your own little book club. Just the two of us. You want to read a book together, Heidi?
No, because you and I don't like the same kind of
we
books.
Don't. My books are usually pretty serious, usually pretty crazy. And what do you call yours? What are your books called?
Murder mysteries.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll watch the movie. If it ever becomes a movie, then it was good enough. Okay, a couple of fun, inexpensive ideas for dates on the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show today. Got a story here about a woman who destroyed 6 cars while trying to park the one she was driving.
Oh, no.
I would not be the one. I wouldn't want to be the one to have to call my insurance company on this. A woman on a shopping trip in Hamburg, Germany, wrecked 6 cars trying to park. Her foot slipped as she was trying to reverse into a space.
No.
Sent her speeding backwards into 2 other cars. She hit them so hard that those 2 hit 2 other cars, and then one of them rolled into the main road and collided with yet 2 more cars. The woman will have to pay the damages of the accident herself because her insurance company has refused her claim. I don't know how you can refuse a claim, but they're saying, yeah, this is you. This is all you. It wasn't anything to do with the car. It was you.
Well, of course, it's called an accident. Of course, it wasn't anything to do with the car.
This happened in Germany, so I guess maybe their insurance is different there.
Wow.
I'm not sure how that works. Coming up, deodorant causes a murder. That escalates quickly. We'll tell you about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
This is a very interesting story. The headline says, deodorant causes a murder. That just seems to be a pretty bizarre thing to kill somebody over, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A court in Palo Alto, California, is currently hearing a case of 2 homeless men who fought to the death over a stick of deodorant. Ron McKeon was charged in the fatal shooting of Joe Carney on January 11th in Palo Alto homeless shelter. I remember when this happened.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, I remember when it. Well, it's right now. It's actually made its way to court.
Okay.
So they're going to find out exactly what happened. I remember when this happened because I remember joking about how could he afford a gun if they were fighting over a stick of deodorant.
Right.
How did this guy have a gun?
He could have sold his gun and gotten a lot of deodorant.
I don't understand, but it's finally
But
made
I suppose
its way.
when you have very little, those few things that you do have,
they're important.
they're yeah, absolutely.
Joe Carney and Ron McKeon, like I said, they got in a scuffle over deodorant, and Joe Carney died. Ron McKeon shot him, and he got the deodorant apparently. So there you go. That's in court right now in California. Coming up, going to talk about some other fun stuff. Are you pregnant? Might want to get a new pair of shoes. We'll tell you why.
Do you like fun t-shirts? Our friends at 80s Tees have a bunch of fun designs from the movies and pop culture. This month, we're giving you a chance to win a $25 credit to buy the t-shirt you like, with designs from Star Wars, Superman, Ghostbusters, Deadpool, and hundreds of others. Sign up to win a $25 credit. Register for free right now at winthisonline.com. We will select 2 winners at the end of this month. You could be one of them, but only if you register at winthisonline.com.
For the record, I want to just say I've never been pregnant before.
Okay.
Because I'm a man. But I remember when you were pregnant and you gained weight, I gained weight with you. So I wonder if this applies to men as well. Because I think they call that sympathy weight. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what they say.
But they say if you're pregnant, especially first-time pregnancy, you might want to buy some new shoes. A study found that pregnancy permanently changes the shape and size of women's feet. Did this happen to you?
Yep.
Did it really?
Yep.
70% of soon-to-be mommies ended up with longer feet, almost a half-inch longer. Their feet also became wider and flatter. And that's only just with the first pregnancy, typically. What happens with the second and third? Not much. Whatever happens usually happens during baby number 1. So did you have shoes that no longer fit after you had Troy?
Yeah. It's because the extra weight that you're carrying, it flattens your arch, so it lengthens your foot. So it's putting all that pressure down, and your foot elongates. So I find the same thing. When I lose weight, my feet actually get a half a size smaller.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So I should lose
because
some
I'm
weight?
carrying weight, and it's pushing my arches. It's pushing my feet down and out.
That's probably why I have flat feet. I've always been pretty heavy. You're supposed to have arches?
You're supposed to have arches, yes.
She makes fun of me because if we'll be swimming or something where my feet are wet and I'm walking, it looks like little blocks that
yeah, just a couple of rectangles.
They're not even triangles. It's kind of like big blobs. Look at those feet. You call them Fred Flintstone feet.
Yeah, you've got Fred Flintstone feet.
All right, well, just more of my feet to love, that's all. Anyway, if you're pregnant for the first time, keep that in mind. You're probably not going to fit into your beautiful shoes anymore, so certainly don't buy the new shoes yet. Wait until your feet have changed and then buy the new shoes. Coming up, we do have some good news to share. That is on the way on The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of The John and Heidi Show is brought to you by The John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying The John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think this is pretty good news. An artist in Washington State is producing a unique kind of sidewalk art. It's designed and produced by artist Pierin Church. I'm sure I said none of that right. Rainworks is a special type of street art that appears on sidewalks only when they're wet.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Again, he's in Washington State. They get plenty of rain in that neighborhood. The works include hopscotches, whimsical illustrations, and uplifting messages. Mr. Church told the Huffington Post, the purpose of Rainworks is to turn rainy days into something to look forward to.
That's what I was just going to say. Then you kind of look forward to it so you can see the artwork.
I think
cool.
that's a really
great
cool idea. I would actually like to see, is this something that I could do on my own sidewalk? Or I've got a link to the info. I'll have to go and check it out. Huffington Post has a story. So I got a link from our Facebook page over there, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. But if that's something that I could do, would you let me do that on our driveway?
I suppose, yeah.
What could we paint that you'd only see when it's raining that would make sense?
What about sunny?
Hey, it's beautiful and sunny.
That way it's always a sunny day, even when it's raining.
You could say, "Hey, the sun is shining above these rain clouds." I don't know. I'll have to think of something witty because it sounds to me like it's permanent because you can't really wash it off, otherwise it wouldn't really last. So I wonder how you do that if you make a mistake.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting idea. Artist in Washington, unique
it's a great
sidewalk
idea.
art. And it's called Rainworks, and you only see it when the sidewalk is wet. It could be really cool for advertisements for umbrellas.
Yeah,
like if you sold umbrellas, you could have a little advertisement on your sidewalk saying, "We sell umbrellas right in here." That'd be a great idea.
That would be.
All right. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
And this bonus break is brought to you by WinThisOnline.com. Now, the gentleman that we talked to today on the program, Dr. Travis Langley, has a book called Captain America versus Iron Man. And we're giving that book away at the end of the day today. So it'll probably be like tomorrow morning we draw the winner. So if you want to win, you got to go there right away and sign up. WinThisOnline.com. There's other great stuff on there as well, but get signed up for that right away. Again, WinThisOnline.com. Scientists report that they found a gene that makes Labrador retrievers fat.
Really?
It's shaped like bacon. No, that's not true. But they did find the gene, so they're going to make it so Labrador retrievers aren't fat anymore, apparently.
I don't know that I've ever seen a fat lab.
A fat lab instead of a black lab?
I don't think I've ever seen one.
Well, I don't know. Apparently there must be a few. Hey, there's an astronomical event that happened on Monday called the Transit of Mercury. From our perspective, Mercury will travel in front of the sun, or did this on Monday. Most places in the world were able to see at least some of the transit because Mercury is so small, you do need a telescope with a solar filter to be able to see it. Did you see it?
Doesn't everybody have that?
I didn't see it because you got to literally have to stare at the sun with a telescope in order to see this. Who discovered that? What you doing? I'm going to go and look at the sun. You have a telescope. Why are you doing that? Just in case Mercury might be going by. Whose idea was that? A 12-year-old boy allegedly stole a school bus and drove it around the Bangor, Maine area. John W. St. Germain and his girlfriend spotted the bus and followed, and they called the police. St. Germain was able to get on the bus and convince the underage driver to give up the wheel. Fortunately, he was the only one on the bus. There's video. And I'm going to share that with you at Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. That is nuts. 12-year-old kid stole a school bus.
That is crazy.
A new all-time high score on Donkey Kong was set last week. Wes Copeland played for 3 hours and 20 minutes and scored 1,218,000 points. Copeland did not lose a single Mario in the game. He took his first life all the way from the first level to the end of the final level. You know how many levels that is?
I have no idea, but that's impressive.
22 levels.
That's crazy.
We watched the movie Pixels.
I always died on the first level.
Oh.
All of my guys were gone on the first level.
I didn't even know there was a second level. It's like, what? You mean some people can get to the top of that? Me and Donkey Kong never got along. Never. Captain America did really well over the weekend. $181.8 million opening weekend. Captain America Civil War, and it's Captain America and Iron Man. And again, we're giving away a book that's, the funny thing is, it says right on it, over here, there it is, unauthorized, Captain America versus Iron Man. But then the thing that's neat is, like, the foreword is by Stan Lee, the guy that, created those guys.
Right. So it must have been authorized to some extent.
Must have been somewhat. So if you would like to win that, go to winthisonline.com. And I'm going to throw one last thing in our bonus break here. A passenger on a flight in Spain reportedly threatened to detonate a bomb because the flight attendants wouldn't give him more beer.
Oh.
So how'd that work out for you?
That's probably not the best idea either.
No, it's a bad idea. If they won't give you more beer, maybe there's a reason. And if you're planning on detonating a bomb, first of all, how did you get a bomb on an airplane? I don't think you can do that. And I don't think he had one. He was drunk and wanted another beer. If you don't bring me another beer, I'm going to blow this plane up. Okay? I bet he probably had some splaining to do when they landed. All right. If you'd like to know more about winthisonline.com, you can go to the website and check it out. Again, they are the sponsors of our bonus break. And for those of you who only listen on the podcast, the thing that's interesting about the podcast, we don't do the bonus break on the radio. So there are things that you get in this podcast, in this bonus break, that nobody else ever hears. We do this radio show on stations all around the country, but only the podcast listeners get the bonus break.
That's right.
Very fortunate people.
This extra special footage.
I mean, this is rare, and it's only for you. So thank you, thank your lucky stars that we have people out there like winthisonline.com. They're sponsoring this. You can win that book, Captain America versus Iron Man. Giving that away. Also got some Zubas on there. I love those things. We've got some T-shirts from 80s Tees and much, 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 much more at winthisonline.com.